to focus on yourself the most, like put yourself first, right? That it's always advisable to get an Arbeitsrechtsschutz in German. So in English, Arbeitsrechtsschutz is like an employment protection. Family, welcome back to my channel. My name is SC, and on this channel I share content related to lifestyle, traveling and styling. So if this is your vibe, don't forget to subscribe down below. And guys, thank you all. Welcome to my new subscribers. It's so nice to read your comments, your DMs, and always feel free to drop a message on what you would like me to talk about. Well, today is a little bit of a switch. I will be talking about my layoff journey. For those of you who know me personally, know that I got laid off in March this year. That's end of March, and so I have been technically unemployed, but I'm still employed basically. And I just want to share my journey with you and also share some of the things I've learned, especially working in corporate in Germany, working in tech. There are so many things that I learned later in life, but then it's something that I will always want to share. I think the first thing, it's okay to cry. I mean, it's okay to grieve, especially if you worked in the company for a while. I was at this company for almost 3 years, so it was a very fast growing company, a tech company, but it's okay to cry. Give yourself time, cry, and also pick yourself up after some time and start, just know that you need to move forward. That's how life is, because you never know like what happens to you, and life is not static, or no condition is permanent, right? So just have this at the back of your mind. I think the first thing that is really crucial at this time is to focus on yourself the most, like put yourself first, right? I remember that everyone is disposable. We see what happened to Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson, like whoever knew these were veterans at the companies, right? They never knew that they will be laid off. Or you can also be the highest top performer, but you can still be laid off. Everyone is disposable. And we see a lot of tech companies like Google, Facebook, Meta, they are just laying off like massively, like 10,000 people at once, right? So this should tell you that at the end of the day, you need to put yourself first and know that you're disposable. This is not your dad's company, right? Everyone is disposable. I think that's the number one lesson that people really need to understand. And also, putting yourself first entails, when you go for holidays, right? Take off your turn off your computer. Like, even if people are trying to reach you, to be honest, it's not that safe, right? They can always do the job without you, because if they can lay you off, then they can equally do the job without you. So when you go for holidays, turn off your computer, focus on yourself, focus on your mental health, and just really, really put yourself first. And even if a doctor gives you a sick leave, if you're sick and you have a sick leave, guys, stop trying to work. Really put yourself first. I think this is something I learned later in life, because when I was sick, I had an injury last year and I was so worried about the job. The doctor gave me like a month away, and I was like, doctor, I need to work, just give me 2 weeks. And the doctor was like, no, you need time to heal. And the doctor told me one thing, like, if you get unemployed, or if they're like, you know what, the company can still do without you. So put yourself first, and they will be fine. When you return, then you can always pick up from where you left. So that really stuck in, and I really wish I took this advice, because I was always trying to, work, and put yourself first. That's the first thing. And secondly, the perk of being laid off too is, look at the bright side of things, right? Know that there is always something better ahead of you. You might not see it at the moment, but then down the line, you'll be thankful to your previous employer for actually laying you off, because being laid off actually gives you the time to think about things you've always wanted to do. Like, you've always wanted to travel to this faraway country, or you've had this business idea, you're not able to nurture this idea because you've been working the whole time. I think it's a time for you to really take time to learn whatever course you're lacking in, or whatever course you want to learn. And it also gives you a better perspective on life. Like, you can actually sit down, reflect on what you really want to do, because maybe your current career was not the one you're cut out for, right? So just really take your time and think about what you really want to do in life, and this is the time for you to think about it. And another thing that is very important, I learned, is once you're laid off, and in Germany, for example, I live in Germany, it's always great to read your employment contract. And if you're in Germany and you've worked above 6 months, in most companies, you have an unlimited contract. And once you have an unlimited contract, it's so difficult for companies to fire you unless you've done something really grave, or unless they're laying off, they're getting rid of a complete department, in my case, for example, or they are, let's say, they've given you, maybe you're having performance problems, but then they need to give you they need to put you on a performance plan, and this usually takes like 3 months. So they cannot really lay you off like that. And when they lay you off, you still have a notice period of 3 months. For example, in my case, I was laid off in March, but technically I'm still working because I have a notice period of 3 months. So that means April, May, June, I'm still employed by the company. So it's always good to understand this and take this to your advantage, because if you want to negotiate your severance pay, in most cases, always start negotiating the severance pay after your notice period. So for example, if your notice period is 3 months, then you should start thinking of your severance pay from the third month, right? So don't count the 3 months. The 3 months, they're not doing you a service. The 3 months is what you're legally obliged to do. So even if they get rid of you, you can still ask for a garden leave, especially if you're working in sales, because I was working in sales, and a lot of times salespeople have a lot of access to personal information of the companies, like the company, like the customer records, like they have a lot of access to the customer relationship management tools and all of that, and companies don't want to risk that. So they're like, all right, we're just going to let you go for now. You're still going to be paid. If your case is 3 months, and get your severance pay from the fourth month. That's when you should start thinking of negotiating. And before that, it's always advisable to get an Arbeitsrechtsschutz in German. So in English, Arbeitsrechtsschutz is like an employment protection. And it's an extra insurance, but guys, you will thank me for this later, because this is something I wish I knew earlier. And most of the time when you get this, it's normally effective from the third month. So they give you 3 months before they can actually you can start benefiting from the services. So in cases where you get into a legal battle with your company and you need a lawyer, they will provide you a lawyer, and you do not have to pay any additional fee, because everything is already covered. You haven't paid for your employment insurance. And in Germany, in Hamburg, for example, some examples are Verdi. That's an example of one of these Arbeitsrechtsschutz. So it's very important to get an Arbeitsrechtsschutz. That way you're protected in case you're having trouble with your employer. You're protected by a third party, and they can always advise you on how much to negotiate based on how long you've worked at the company. And all of this is very important to know, because it's really important to know your rights. And it's also important to know the value you brought to the company, right? So let's say if you're in a revenue driven role like myself, where you're contributing to the revenue, then you can always negotiate based on the value you brought to the company. And this is very important, guys. Know your negotiation power, because knowing your negotiation power really puts you ahead of your employer, and you can negotiate a very good package when you know this. And it always helps when you have a third party helping you, especially the third party who has information on the laws of the country where you're living in. So this is very important. And I also want to talk about being nice to recruiters. So if you're having a LinkedIn profile, I will advise you to go to your settings and always set it up in a way that you're open to networks so recruiters can reach out to you. There is a way you can set this up in such a way that your current company cannot see you're open to work. I mean, there is no guarantee that an internal recruiter in your company can see, but it's always good to be open, right? And remember, you're disposable. If you see a better offer somewhere, it's always great to, have even a conversation with a recruiter and see what the other offer is about. Even if it's not your cup of tea, just be polite and you can just say, okay, let's stay in touch or reach out in case I'm looking for something. And being nice to recruiters really puts you ahead of the game, because in cases where you get laid off unexpectedly, you can always reach out to the recruiter and tell them, hey, you're on the market, you're searching. And just for the fact that you gave them a listening ear and you were actually nice to them, do not ignore your recruiters. They will be nice to you as well. So do not ignore your recruiters, and also create your LinkedIn profile in such a way that you're putting your achievements on your profile on LinkedIn. This really helps you stand out a lot, because when you put your achievements, a lot of times the hiring manager can reach out to you directly, or if they're looking at your profile, they can already see your achievements, and during the interview process, they see everything listed out, and it's easier for you because they're just kind of reiterating what you've already written on your profile. So this really puts you ahead of the game as well. Yeah, and also stay connected on LinkedIn, maybe with your previous colleagues, maybe also be on the alert. Like, there are some times when some companies are looking for people. Maybe your network has open roles in their companies, right? So if you're scrolling down on LinkedIn, let's say LinkedIn is the professional Instagram, right? If you're scrolling down on LinkedIn and you see maybe there might be an open role in one of your network's company, you can reach out to them directly and they can introduce you to somebody. It always works better if you know somebody within the company a lot of times. So networking is very important. And don't be shy, guys. Talk to people. Tell them, hey, sorry, I just got laid off at my current company. It happens to everybody. Like this year, I was also speaking to a friend on Instagram. One of her colleagues got laid off, and her colleague was a top performer, right? And she was really she was surprised. And her colleague works with Amazon. So again, guys, everyone is disposable. You can get laid off. It could be you, it could be your friend, and this is something where it's really important to know. And another thing I learned lately is, guys, your colleagues are not your friends. There are very few cases where you can make friends out of colleagues, but most of the time, have clear boundaries between work and your personal life, because there are always some people who want to leech, like they want to get information about what is happening in your personal life, and they can always use that against you at work. So you really have to be careful, and everybody is having their own interest at heart. Like, let's say if you're laid off and your friends are still at the company, you really have to be careful what you say, because they are still working at the company and they'll always put their interests at heart. So this is another thing, a hard lesson. Your colleagues are not your friends, technically. And if you're in Germany, for example, if you've been working in Germany for a while, try as much as possible to get your permanent residence, because, guys, the moment you have your permanent residence, you're not tied to a particular company. I remember when I just graduated, I got a job and I had to switch my job, but it was so difficult for me to switch my job because I needed another approval, and I needed this to be changed in my passport or my residence card, like, hey, she's changing the jobs, and it was so difficult to change this. So if you actually get the permanent residence, then you're kind of flexible, in such a way that if a company lays you off, or if you change your company, you don't necessarily have to start thinking about changing your visa, because it could be very tedious, especially for foreigners who are working in the company and who are having trouble with their documents, or who are having to change their their job status every time. So try to get your permanent residence. And another point, guys, when you're working with a company, take advantage of the educational budget. It's always great to ask HR about the benefits of the company. A lot of times, a lot of companies offer they offer a budget for educational purposes. Let's say if you want to learn German, if you want to learn a course that could be beneficial for your current role, a lot of companies will sponsor this and they will actually give you those they set out the budget for this. I remember at the company I worked with before my current company, I got a tutor, right? A German tutor, and it was a one-to-one, it was a personal tutor. And this was very, very important for me because this helped me to, to study for my B1 and B2 German exams and to excel in it because I had a one-to-one tutor because I had a different level of German from some of my colleagues who did not know German. So this really puts you in a good situation as well. And another thing I would like to talk about is when you're negotiating your severance pay, don't be heated. Speak very professionally. If you can practice before, feel free to practice. Be very calm and just state the facts. When you're stating the facts, when you're calm, it's so much better than arguing with them or going back and forth or being emotional. Don't be emotional. Have a straight face. Negotiate your severance pay. Don't get emotional. Don't cry or do all that. No, guys, because they're not going to change their minds, right? Just have a straight face, set your facts straight, and avoid having a heated conversation with them because this could actually trigger a lot of emotions, and we know how it is in this kind of cases. So don't get heated. So the last thing I would like to talk about is, again, putting yourself first in every situation. Because the moment you put yourself first, it's also very beneficial for your mental health. And at this time, I think a lot of you noticed, I took out the time to travel. I've been to Cameroon. The last time I went to Cameroon was 5 years ago. And I just went recently to Cameroon. And I have a few trips planned as well. Because I think it's really important that you put yourself first and do the things you love during this period of time. I will be sharing, I'm also focusing on my fitness journey, my wellness journey, my health journey. I will be sharing with you some of my fitness tips. I have started intermittent fasting, and I am also I wouldn't really say diet because I'm pretty much eating everything, but just in moderation, and I'm avoiding a lot of sugar. So guys, stay tuned. I will be sharing my fitness journey. I'll be brunching as well because the best way to apply for a new job is in a very relaxed environment. And also this period has given me a lot of time to nurture some business ideas I have. Stay tuned, come in. And also work on my vlog. Like I have been able to put out content, I've been very consistent. Last week I put out contents, 2 vlogs on Cameroon. This is something that was so difficult for me when I was doing my 9 to 5. I used to get off work and I used to work in the middle of the night. Like I was just working on my vlog. On the weekends I work on my vlogs as well. So guys, subscribe below, comment. This really helps the algorithm because YouTube sees that you guys are really engaging and they push out the content to more people. So thank you for following my journey and stay tuned. I'll be sharing with you. I'm currently doing some interviews at the moment, and keep your fingers crossed for your girl. And see you in my next vlog. I will see you guys. Don't forget to follow my journey with me, my post-layoff journey with me, and see you guys in the next video. Stay connected, like this video, comment, share with your friends who are struggling with the same thing, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Love, guys.